Welcome to SVGTV's news for Monday, November 20th, 2023. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. Reporting on his recent visit to Saudi Arabia for the first CARICOM Saudi Arabia Summit, Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Saabs at a news conference today said it was a very intense and hectic period from Tuesday, November 14th to Saturday, November 18th, but they have accomplished quite a lot. The Prime Minister said besides the historic CARICOM Saudi Arabia Summit, he and his 10-member delegation got the opportunity to meet with a number of investors, participated in a working dinner hosted by the Minister of Tourism of Saudi Arabia, and were involved in a number of other important engagements there. He said a highlight of the visit was the signing of an agreement for an additional $50 million with the Saudi Fund for Development, which is in addition to the $16 million signed earlier here in SVG, bringing the total to $66 million.
In addition to that $66 million, we will spend as counterpart money something between $7 and $8 million, conservatively estimated. So you're talking about this set of projects funded through the Saudi Fund for Development. It's a soft loan, 20 years, 2% interest. I'll come to that shortly. You're talking about, well, $66 million US dollars, which is almost $180 million approximately, EC dollars. And then we have another $20 million EC plus. So you're talking altogether, the projects will cover about 200 million EC dollars. This is a significant sum of money. I begin first of all with the broad question which persons would raise. Well, Ralph, if you're borrowing this money, how this is going to affect our debt burden? Well, the economy is growing, and the debt to GDP ratio, when the economy grows, if even your debt increases, as a proportion of the GDP, it will remain reasonable, manageable by all the international benchmarks. But very importantly, the debt servicing, given the relatively low interest rate, would not be onerous, taking into account the requisites of what we are spending on and the way in which we can substitute one type of debt for another.
The Prime Minister noted that the loan from the Saudi Fund for Development at a 2% interest is to be repaid over a 20-year period, and while he could have negotiated for more than the $66 million in a soft loan agreed upon, he had to be prudent and enterprising.
Makes life much easier for you if you're replacing some types of borrowing with a much cheaper form of borrowing. So I think that is a very important point to note up front as a policy issue. The other matter which we have to address is this. Once your debt is manageable, there is nothing intrinsically wrong with borrowing. You know that is in your private situation. If you borrow sensibly for an asset like building a house, it is beneficial to you and it becomes beneficial to the country. Once you do it in a way which is manageable, you don't go and borrow $500,000 when you can only service a debt of $200,000 to build your house. And sometimes people may get into trouble with that. But this is why I say you have to be careful. You have to be prudent yet enterprising. It is something which is deep within our own people. And you notice all the time, I have said that we must be prudent and enterprising. If you don't, you end up accepting austerity. And austerity in a poor country, which among other things, developing country, would lead you at best to stagnation and worse, to collapse. So you could avoid borrowing, but you will stagnate or worse, collapse. I want people to grasp this. Of course, there are some people, when you hear them speak, they don't want to pay any taxes and they don't want Ralph to go anywhere to raise any money. They just want me to stay home in the village. Well, I can do that, but it's only that you'll stagnate or collapse. We have reached too far in our education and our experiences for us not to be reflective properly about public policy. And this is what I've tried to do. So I said some headline comments in this regard to put the matters in context.
Dr. Gonzalez said consideration also has to be given to the capacity of the private and public sectors in the execution of the projects they will be engaged in an optimal manner.
What do I mean by private and public sector capacity? It relates to having, if you're building a school, or you're building a health center, you need to have construction companies available to be able to bid towards the standards of an international tender, to be able to do the work. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you must have the materials. Aggregate, for instance. Anytime you try to have a quarry, everybody wants building. Everybody wants a polyclinic in their area, a health center in their area, a school in their area. They want the roads in their area. But nobody wants to have a quarry. And as soon as you announce that you're having a quarry, you get a whole set of objections. And very often these objections are laced with mistaken environmental conclusions, because a lot of the times it's crisscrossed, interlaced with partisan politics. Of course, anytime you have a developmental project, for instance, like a quarry, there is going to be an environmental challenge. The question is how you mitigate those challenges, because we can have a situation in which we have absolutely no development, to be like 1498 when Columbus passed by in somewhere. Well, he didn't set his foot here, but around that time now, when he is around, you can have that, but you wouldn't have roads, you wouldn't have motor cars, you wouldn't have these beautiful houses. Every time you do something to the natural environment, there's a challenge which arises. The question is not the challenge which arises, is the extent of the challenges and what are the measures to mitigate, to lessen the harm from any possible adverse environmental impact. Now, you may say, but Ralph, surely we have not reached the stage where companies don't have the capacity to do things. Well, I'm talking locally. The answer is yes, there are real challenges with private sector capacity.
The Prime Minister said there is also a lack of capacity in the number of skilled tradesmen and tradeswomen in the country, as well as sand mining.
We produce thousands, and we have a program for national vocational qualification and Caribbean vocational qualification. And though we are churning out a lot through our community college, the technical and vocational education division, and we are doing it through the technical institutes. And there are people who are coming along in the old apprenticeship system, and then we're doing the CVQs and the NVQs. It's not only St. Vincent and the Grenadines relying on our labor force. You have a big shortage in Antigua, in BVI, in St. Kitts, in Barbados. And there are some people who go there, of course, others are coming back because of the construction boom which is going on. So there is that shortage also. There is a challenge with sand, sand mining. Bragsa can provide particular types of sand, but we can't go and take up the sand on the black sand beaches. We can't do the large scale ravaging of the sand, the black sand. And when you import, the problem of the quality of what the price at what you import in. Get a lot of sand from Guyana, but Guyana now with its oil money is like one big construction site. You go to Guyana. So you understand, you have to navigate the limitations of the private sector capacity, and some of it. One of the reasons we ourselves, the government, we have had to import aggregate so that Bragsa could have a certain amount to sell to contractors. And then you have, given the construction boom which we have now, a difficulty with a number of areas of professional expertise. Civil engineers, architects, civil engineers, the land surveyors, you need people, quantity surveyors, people, when you finish the plan, the quantity surveyor has to look at the plan and to tell you, for you to prepare after the architect has already done his work and the engineer investigates it and so on, it goes to the quantity surveyor. You want to know how much concrete you need, how much sand you need, all the various things you need. And all of that background technical work takes a lot of time. And then for the actual construction, it's no. Then in the government, in the preparation of projects, you have some of the same personnel limitations.
The inaugural United Kingdom UK Caribbean Infrastructure Conference opened this morning at the Beachcombers Hotel. In his address at the opening ceremony of the four-day conference, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Information Technology, Camilla Gonsalves, thanked the United Kingdom Caribbean Infrastructure Fund for its continued work in helping to build resilience against climate change and climate change-related disasters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and in other Caribbean countries. Minister Gonzalez noted that one of the resilience projects here in SVG that is being funded through the United Kingdom Caribbean Infrastructure Fund is the new port project in capital Kingston.
We know that this fund was announced some years ago, and there have been multiple administrations in the United Kingdom since its initial announcement, and I want to thank the government of the United Kingdom and the successive governments of the United Kingdom for remaining true to their commitment to the Caribbean region with the Caribbean Infrastructure Fund. We have all across the region used the resources of the fund in different ways, but all of those ways have addressed the issue that we're all here to discuss at this conference, which is resilience. Many of the countries have used resources from the fund to strengthen their road networks. I know that Jamaica has used it for primarily for agricultural purposes, irrigation and the like. Montserrat and St. Vincent and the Grenadines have used the resources to improve our port infrastructure, and in our case to build an entirely new port. And the UK SIF has been critical either in the design, development and implementation of those projects, or in helping to crowd in additional resources to catalyze the input of additional.
The Finance and Economic Planning Minister said all the islands in the Caribbean are vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, and though many aspects of their vulnerability cannot change, building resilience can help with some of the challenges they face.
Many aspects of our vulnerability can't be changed. We're not going to get any bigger. We're not going to move to another part of the world where hurricanes are less frequent. We're not going to flatten our mountains. We're not going to suddenly double or triple our populations. And many of our economic vulnerabilities are also inbuilt. But what we can change is our resilience and the ways in which we bounce back from the challenges of vulnerability, and the ways in which we plan for and cut off at the pass some of the challenges that affect us now are critical. And many of those resilience building exercises have a lot to do with infrastructure. It has a lot to do with our coastal defenses. It has a lot to do with improved road networks and infrastructure there. It has a lot to do with our main trading infrastructure, like our airports and our ports. And all of us have recognized this, and in different ways we are preparing for a future in which the challenges to vulnerability become greater and greater.
Minister Gonzalez further noted that Caribbean countries are all awaiting the upcoming COP Conference of Parties in the United Arab Emirates from November 30th to December 12th, where they will deal with the challenges of climate change.
Ready for the next COP, the Conference of Parties in the United Arab Emirates, that will deal in a very real way with the challenges of vulnerability and the fact that the large global emitters have yet to meet their commitments to deliver a world where global warming is less than 1.5 degrees Celsius. And once we get beyond that, all of our islands will face the brunt of the challenges of climate change. We're already facing it, and the latest report from the scientists say that we don't have to wait till we get to 1.5 degrees to see the challenges, and that each incremental rise in the global temperature has an exponentially large impact on the countries of the Caribbean. And as Bob Marley says, who feels it knows it. I don't need to tell any of you this. We are in the midst of a struggle, a battle against climate change and against other challenges that exacerbate our vulnerability. And it's going to be the story of our development for decades and decades to come.
The theme of the inaugural United Kingdom UK Caribbean Infrastructure Conference is Building Resilience for All, and is being held in partnership with the government of the United Kingdom and the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB. More than 50 delegates from 8 Caribbean countries and 1 UK overseas territory are participating in the week-long conference, which will focus on capturing vulnerable lessons from the 13 transformational infrastructure projects being implemented under the UK Caribbean Infrastructure Fund, UKCIF. Participants will discuss the success and lessons learned while designing and building inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable infrastructure in the region. They will also benefit from capacity building sessions being delivered by IPA, the UK's Infrastructure and Projects Authority, and the BSI British Standards Institute on regulations, standards, and best practice approaches to deliver climate resilience infrastructure. Citizens across St. Vincent and the Grenadines are expected to benefit significantly from more efficient digital services with the public sector Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. This is according to Project Coordinator Winston George on SVGTV's Viewpoint program yesterday. George added that some of the services citizens will benefit from include an online electric payment platform for income tax and cybersecurity service.
Looking at a new tax information management system, and essentially that will allow for the filing of taxes, the payment of taxes online, as well as driver's license and all those things within the Inland Revenue Department. Just to indicate at this point, they, on the current system, because, well, tomorrow, I just want to say we are at the point where we have invited bids for that system, and hopefully tomorrow we will open those bids, and sometime in the first quarter of next year we should be at the place where we begin to implement that new system. But in the interim, we are doing work on the current system to put a taxi file in and e-payments, so that by the end of the first quarter next year, that would be available to citizens so that they could file their taxes and they could also make payments for driver's license. So that is the tax information management system. That is a big system. The other one that we are dealing with is the electronic single window for trade facilitation, which is principally extending the Asicuda system and allowing for the filing of documents, licenses, etc., to make sure that you could import or export your goods.
George said the transformation project is to increase access to digital services, technologies, and skills by governments, businesses, and individuals in participating Eastern Caribbean countries.
The Caribbean Digital Transformation Project is a World Bank funded project implemented by the governments of the 4 Windward Islands to the tune of approximately 90 million US dollars. In the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it is 30 million US dollars. And the primary aim or objective of the project is to provide digital public services to citizens and businesses. Now, essentially what the project is all about is using information communication technologies or digital technologies to provide efficient and effective public services to citizens and businesses in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and within the project countries of Dominica, St. Lucia, Grenada, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, the project started in the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it started in June of 2021. But for other countries, it started in 2020.
A number of teachers across St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Friday, November 17, 2023, participated in a march and rally in capital Kingston last Friday, culminating activities for Teachers Solidarity Week, observed annually to reflect on the past achievements of heroism of the teachers and the Teachers Union in 1975. In November 1975, tensions between teachers and the government escalated after repeated calls for dialogue by the union to discuss the condition of schools and promise back pay, among other issues, went unheard. A demonstration in capital Kingston resulted in some teachers being tear-gassed by the police. Speaking at the rally on Friday, President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, said he is seeing today some repeat of challenges from the past.
Someone was killed, another person was injured, 41 teachers, they were arrested, about 21 of them were charged for obstructing the police, nonsense, and another 10 was also charged for something else, some other stupidness, and the list goes on and on. And today, the same government is trying to reinvent the wheel because they are tampering with the Trade Union Act to replace it with the Labor Relations Bill. And they are telling us things like, don't force people to join the union. And they're telling us things like, don't use union dues for political purposes. Trade unions are political organisms. We deal with socio-economic justice. And anything that affects the bread and butter, the union must speak. And that is why the team is calling us. Whether you're steward, you're president, whatever function you have to perform, in any worker organization, you must be active. We can't be spectators. And if it's not the time now is the time to be more active. So that we will be part of that recipe. We will be part of that ingredient, that essential ingredient to reap the success that we so desire.
Lawyer Jomo Thomas said what the union has been doing since the 1975 incident is very commendable and that the union should remain committed to its task ahead.
By the government of the day, the Labour, St. Vincent Labour Party. As the president said, people were tear-gassed, one person was injured, one person was killed, and several others were injured in the melee. And from that day, November 14th of 1975, teachers have been marching and rallying to keep this movement together and to build the consciousness. And that is something that is critically important. This is a 48th year. This march is older than many of the people who are sitting, this celebration is older than many of the people who are sitting here today. And that is a tribute to the commitment, the discipline and organization of your organization. And you should commit to keep this going. You know, in 1975, there was much more talk about trade union consciousness. And basically, in talking about trade union consciousness, we were talking about the understanding of workers who were organized and involved in the trade union movement.
Teachers Solidarity Week 2023 was observed under the theme, The Significance of Workers' Active Participation, a Recipe for Success. The opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP, held a massive youth rally on Saturday, November 18, 2023 in the South Leeward constituency at Camden Park, Plainfield, under the theme, Let's Get It Done. Party leader Dr. Godwin Friday told the large gathering that there is hope for the future and the NDP is the only vehicle in the country that can deliver political change.
I want you to think about it as just Friday Party or Nature Party or Vineyard Party. It's all we party. Our tent is large, and my arms are open wide, embracing everyone. Because more than anything else, we want to bring change to our beloved country. But believe me when I tell you, that change will not come unless we put aside our small differences and work together under one banner of the New Democratic Party. I want you could come for your own reasons, but come and join the movement.
Friday said the ULP party administration has nothing more to offer St. Vincent and the Grenadines and will hold it back.
After 2 decades in office with big projects and big promises, they failed to deliver a better life for the people of our country. It is only, and you know this, it is only the privileged few who have party cars and are well placed who have done well. Those who eat already, they're eating again. And the rest of the people catching hell. But we will deliver, regardless of your political party, past or present. Everyone will enjoy the fruits of the hard work and the bounty of our country. We will share it fairly in the produce of our labor, of our hard work. So I proclaim here tonight that we stand for economic progress in this country, that we stand for the unity of our people. We stand for fairness.
Addressing the young people at the rally, the NDP leader said too often they have been left out and that they have the ability and can shape the future of the country in the way it should be.
But I want to address the young people in particular, because too often they have been left out. Young people, I know you are here in your numbers. You can shape the future of our country in the way that it should be. You have high expectations for yourself and for this country. You want to make your mark on your country and the world. You expect, quite rightly, and you demand better of political leaders and of government. You learn from the past, but you're not looking back. You're looking forward to what's on the journey ahead. Like you, I love this country very much. I want it to move forward. But we need to do a better job. And we can do a better job than we are doing now. It is that knowledge that we can do better that drives me and my colleagues and gives us hope for the future. A hope that I know that you share. But hope is not about ignoring challenges. It is about facing them. It is not about thinking that they would simply work out. It's about planning and working to make them happen. That is the only way that it will be done.
The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force said it is actively investigating a reported shooting incident that claimed the life of Leon Games, a 26-year-old laborer of Layu, which occurred on Saturday, November 18, 2023. The police say, according to preliminary investigations, at approximately 8 p.m. on Saturday, November 18th, the police received a report of gunfire going off in Texia Road, Layu. Games reportedly sustained multiple gunshot wounds perpetrated by an unknown masked assailant or assailants, and he was transported to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital and was pronounced dead on arrival by doctors at the institution. A post-mortem examination will be conducted on the deceased to ascertain the exact cause of death. The police say the crime scene unit promptly processed the scene and collected items of evidential value. The SVG police force says it remains steadfast in a commitment to upholding the safety and security of the citizens and residents of the nation, noting that the unfortunate shooting incident highlights the importance of cooperation between the police and members of the community in ensuring the safety and security of citizens, and urges the public for its assistance in bringing those responsible to justice. Anyone with information relating to the incident in Layu or any other incident is urged to call the police, who say witness accounts and any additional details may prove crucial to unraveling the truth behind the unfortunate event. Again, the police say all information received would be treated confidentially. Meanwhile, the police have arrested and charged Dwayne Cupid, a 52-year-old unemployed resident of Kingston, in connection with a report of burglary at the ministerial building in Kingston. The incident is said to have occurred between 5 p.m. on November 6th and 3:27 a.m. on November 8th, 2023. Cupid is accused of allegedly entering the ministerial building as a trespasser and stole a black HP laptop valued at $3,000. The stolen laptop is the property of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Cupid is scheduled to appear before the Kingston Magistrate Court to answer to the charge. In other news, the unique Vincentian tradition of National Christmas and Nine Mornings Festival will officially launch on Sunday, December 3rd, 2023 at Heritage Square in Kingston from 6 p.m. On NBC Radio's face-to-face program today, Chairman of the National Nine Mornings Committee, Orani Bomani Charles, outlined a few of the activities which will occur at the launching event, including a street parade, Christmas concert, and the lighting of Heritage Square.
Launching usually has several components, one of which is a parade, a street parade, cultural parade, which features many aspects of the festival, and we get as many groups as possible involved in the parade around Kingston from 6 p.m. and it culminates at Heritage Square, which is the venue this year, where we will turn on the lights. We'll have a celebration concert featuring many of your favorite components of Christmas. We'll have a concert there. We'll have some greetings by our stakeholders, and we'll count down to turning on the lights. And as you know, we try to make it special this year. We have some special announcements, some new initiatives, and it's expected to be an exciting start to the Christmas season here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Deputy Chairman of the National Nine Mornings Committee, Lennox Bowman, said one of the main objectives of the Nine Mornings Festival is to expose all forms of SVG's tradition, culture through music, dance, culinary arts, and much more. Bowman said they also want to ensure that the future generation of children understand the true meaning of Christmas.
And hopefully that will inspire national pride and generally to create activities which revolve around the community and the family. And these activities are usually staged at evening or pre-dawn morning. We really want to make sure that when we depart, that our children and grandchildren get a good idea of what the spirit of Christmas really means and what it means not only in the light of the Christian community, but what it means as our culture as it evolves as well. The launch in Heritage Square, we are making great efforts to have a new look as well at Heritage Square. You know, we're always trying to, with whatever meager resources available to us, and we appreciate every cent given by every sponsor toward this festival. As you know, this is not a festival where you pay a fare to come in. So the money that we get have to be used very wisely. So we're looking at a new look there.
Okay.
Noting that music is a key component in any festival, Charles is encouraging persons to take part in the Bring Your Song and Come competition. He is also encouraging all of SVG to take part in the National Nine Mornings Festival, which is unique to SVG.
It's an important ingredient in the festivities, and we try to encourage our artists, our entertainers, musical performers they get involved, and this is one of the ways that we do that. It's a more of a spontaneous, it began like that, a more of a spontaneous type thing where you come down on mornings and you indicate to the program person there that you have a song in your heart and you want to get on stage, and we try to accommodate you. So it has grown by leaps and bounds now. We try to manage it. But it's a very, very exciting part of the festival, and as I said, I think it encourages more of our artists to get involved in creating Christmas music.
Part of the mission of this committee, this National Nine Mornings Committee, is to help to educate, especially young Vincentians, on the history and practices of Nine Mornings, and with a view to building this festival. This is very close to our heart, the educational component of it. And we just appealing to everyone to become a part of it, recognize the cultural value and the tourism potential of our product, and support it in whatever way that you can.